Hi, my name is Jess Roby and I'm a registered nurse. I'm the president of the Professional Nurses Association in Ulster County, and we've decided to make some videos to give people information about the COVID-19 vaccine. As nurses, it's one of our jobs to ensure that our patients have good information so they can make good choices. And so we've compiled the data that we found available to us, and we are passing that along to you. The goal of this is not to replace any kind of conversation with your doctor or your healthcare provider, but to give you information. I will post our references in the comments so that you can do your own research. We're committed to using evidence-based, scientific, peer-reviewed data. So I want to talk to you in this video a little bit about how the vaccines work and the research that went into making them, in the hopes that it will give you confidence that these vaccines are safe for almost everyone. All right, so let's talk about the vaccines. Currently, there are 2 vaccines that are being distributed in the United States, one made by Pfizer and one made by Moderna. They are both mRNA vaccines, and they both went through extensive trials before they hit the market. The mRNA technology has been being studied for over 30 years. So while these particular vaccines are new, what's new about them is the virus they're protecting for, not the trials. Not the idea, the concept. And actually there was a vaccine that was almost ready to go to market for the SARS pandemic, or well, it wasn't a pandemic, but the SARS outbreak that happened a couple years ago, but we got that under control, and there didn't end up needing to be a vaccine because we managed to contain the spread, which we haven't done with COVID-19. So the way this vaccine works is that there's a little piece of mRNA, which is messenger RNA. That's the part that goes into your cells to tell your cells to make the spike that's associated with the COVID-19 virus. So here's an interesting factoid about viruses. They cannot reproduce for themselves. They don't have the capacity. So when you actually get COVID, what happens is the virus attaches to your cells, it inserts mRNA that tells your body to make COVID virus, and then release the COVID virus into your system, where your immune system recognizes the spike and mounts an immune response. So what the vaccine does is it says, we don't need to give you all the rest of the parts of the virus, just the spike part, which is the outside of the virus, and that is the part that your immune system needs to recognize in order to fight it off. So the vaccine does not contain COVID-19, it just contains enough of the message to tell your body to make the outside. Then your body finds these spike proteins and creates the antibodies that recognize and fight off that virus. What happens then is if you are exposed to COVID, you have a trained, prepared army ready to go on day 1. Whereas if you don't have any immunity when you get exposed to the virus, it can take up to 2 weeks for your body to go through the process of putting together that army and training them and getting them ready for battle. So that's the benefit of being vaccinated ahead of time. Because it's just that tiny little piece of mRNA, it breaks down fairly quickly, and they estimate that after about 3 months, the vaccine itself is no longer in your system. Both of these vaccines are 2-dose, so you get one and then you get the other one. For Pfizer, it's 21 days after, and for Moderna, it's 28 days after. For most people, the side effects happen after the 2nd dose because your immune system is primed and ready to go from the 1st dose. Both of these vaccines did extensive trials before they became available to the public. There were 30,000 people involved in each trial, and in each trial, half of those participants got the vaccine and half got a placebo. So that means that before it ever was available to people, 30,000 people had gotten a dose of one or the other vaccine, and for the most part, they reported no adverse effects. Once they started distributing it widely, I'm sure you all heard about the folks in the United Kingdom who had anaphylactic reactions. I just want to say that all of those people survived. Luckily, anaphylaxis is one of the things that if you're in the right place, we can treat it quickly, and those folks all recovered. They didn't even require hospitalization. So we're now screening for people who have obviously an allergy to a component in the vaccine, or if you're someone who has a propensity to have immediate allergic reactions. We we want you to be prepared, and you may need to talk to your healthcare provider about whether or not it's worth the risk for you to get it. People are being monitored for 15 minutes after they get the vaccine, because if you're going to have a reaction, it generally happens in 15 minutes. And they're giving the vaccines in places where there are healthcare providers available with the medications and resources they need to treat a reaction. You may have heard about some other folks who have had some platelet issues or who have died. And while that's very sad, it's also very rare. And the other thing to know is that when we are looking at people who get vaccines or get new medicines, we count everything that happens as something that may or may not be related to the medicine or the vaccine. Because we don't know. We don't know if you hadn't gotten that vaccine, would you still have had a heart attack? Would you still have died? We don't know. And so as we collect the data, we look at people who get the vaccine. Is there a trend of something that bad that happens? And in this case, these vaccines seem to be very safe for most people. It's a couple days of not feeling great. It's 24 hours usually, maybe 36 of not feeling great after the second dose. And otherwise, people seem to be tolerating it very well. The vaccines give you between 94% for the Moderna and 97% for the Pfizer protection. And what that means is not that you won't get it, but that if you do get it, you probably will get a very mild case, meaning no symptoms at all or very mild symptoms. And that's because your body's primed and ready to fight. We did another video about risk versus benefit to give you some idea about whether or not it makes sense for you to get it. But I just want you to say that there are now over 100 million people in America and more across the world who have gotten this vaccine safely. And our best bet to going back to life as normal is to get a bunch of us, meaning like upward of 80% of us, vaccinated, so that we are not going to be transmitting this virus to each other. The more of us who are protected, the less chance there is that people can get the virus, reproduce the virus in their own bodies, and then therefore spread it to other people. References will be in the comments. Thanks for watching. Share the video.